Being a two-time state champion, pretty cool. Having 2 doctorate level degrees, an MD and a PhD, that's pretty cool as well. Our guest here today, he checks both those boxes. Sir, if you would, tell us who you are.
Thanks so much, Alex. I'm Jason Talbott, and happy to be here. Really appreciate what you're doing, Alex.
Man, believe me, the pleasure is all on, I guess, the right side of the screen here because, like I said in your 94 video, you have been a highly, highly, highly requested person. Everywhere I've been, it's, Jason Talbott, Jason Talbott, Jason Talbott. And we've been trying to get up with each other for a while, and I'm glad we finally was able to, get a date and time lined out. So 1994 state champion, 103 pounds. That video's on the channel. 1995, you were in the finals, 112 pounds as a junior.
Yeah.
But you ran into Sean Smith's teammate, Grady Peterson.
Absolutely.
And he kind of
got some revenge.
I guess he kind of stood up for his teammate there.
Yeah,
Grady wins a 14-4 decision. Now, it should be said that Grady also is a 2-time state champion, 94 and 95 state champion. So, Jason, man, you won it as a sophomore. You were in the finals as a junior. You come up a little bit short. Kind of walk us through that junior state tournament, that junior match. Sure. Of course, you guys are going to see some highlights from it here as Jason's talking. But was it the weight jump? Was it just not seeing Grady? Was it what? Talk to us there.
Yeah. So going up to 119, still a small guy, but bigger compared to what I was used to. But Grady was a great wrestler, and he kind of had my number. He beat me twice the year before, and if I was going to be kind of macho and tough and say, I wanted to see him in the finals, like get my revenge. If I'm going to be honest about it, I got to tell you, when I saw that he lost to Kevin on the other half of the bracket, I can't say I wasn't relieved a little bit. Not that I wanted to wrestle Kevin anymore because I hadn't wrestled him, but I knew what I was getting with Grady, and I knew it was going to be a really tough match. Ton of respect for Grady, and watched his video recently, and great to see how well he's doing. And came into the tournament ready to kind of go out with a bang senior year, and regardless of who I wrestled. But I got to admit, when I saw Grady wasn't going to be there, I had a little bit of relief. Although Kevin was no easy match, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, man. And that 96 bracket, 119 pounds, there is 5 of the 16. There's 5 state champions. Chris Dunn from Woodford County went on to be a 3-timer. Dylan Bell from Covington Scott went on to be a 2-timer. And then Grady was a 2-timer as well. And let's talk about that 96 bracket. Of course, we are at the Dungeon in Frankfort. Yep. And we'll talk about this in the video. But the Dungeon, the best atmosphere for a state tournament. I mean, it was literally something like out of a movie. I mean, it truly.
The lighting.
Oh my gosh! Just the way that the seats come down to the floor. The way the arena was just like you could like walk all the way around up top. You know what I mean? It was just. If you missed out going to the Dungeon, guys, I'm sorry. There's no replicating it because it's been demolished now. But it was the best. But let's start off though with your bracket. You start off the tournament with John Pellegrino from North Hardin. Mm-hmm. You win that by a fall. You get to the quarters. You're wrestling Matt Johnson from Simon Kenton. You win that by a fall as well. So 2 matches, 2 falls. Of course, you're a senior, been in the finals twice, 1-time state champion. It's kind of expected to come in, get some falls, you know what I mean? Now, you get to the semis. And you do my boy Dean Williams, man. You do him dirty here. You win a 17-1 tech fall. I think that still may kind of haunt Dean to this day. You know what I mean? Dean's our buddy, 1998 state champion. Now, had you wrestled Dean before?
Oh yeah, Dean and I were good friends. I love Dean, and we, one great thing about kind of Louisville, and not just Louisville, Lexington areas, we had a lot of summer wrestling programs together where we'd go up to Woodford County and train for the national tournament up in North Dakota. Mm-hmm. And, so we worked out a lot, and my coach's coach, Coach Anderson, Chuck Anderson, who was Seneca's coach for many, many years. His son, Scott Anderson, and Dean, and, their team, we do dual workouts together. So Dean and I have been, wrestling around together for years and years before this. And, I think Dean, I say this with all due respect, if he didn't know who I was and it kind of went into the match blinded, I think it would have been a lot closer match. I think I had a little mental thing with him just because over the years, but that match shouldn't have been 17-1. I think he was a much better wrestler than that score reflects.
Yeah, of course, Dean's videos on the channel. When he come in, we done his video in person there at his at Dad's house in Louisville. And
yeah,
I cannot remember if we watched this match or your 96 match or not, but he brought you up about cause in 98, Ian Horn wins the most outstanding. Yep. And Dean said, man, I was chasing Ian. I wanted that MOW. I was chasing Ian. Of course, it was Ian's to lose that year. And he brought up that. He was like, man, Jason, man, he got me. He got me. He got me. And so, Dean, man, I know as soon as he watches this, my phone's going to, he's going to text me or something, try to call me.
I got to catch up with that guy.
Yeah, man. Dean, I'll send you his number when we get done here. Right. You get to the finals, and like you said, you're wrestling Kevin Delk from Connor.
Yeah.
And Connor, we've been to Connor. Much respect for Coach Bedita, Wayne Bedita, all the Connor program, great program.
Right.
Connor, man, they were a program as well. I mean, they had their 80s and 90s, four-time state champion Robbie Clarkson, Matt Shotwell, Pat March, we go on, Craig Bertelson. Their heavyweight this year actually won it. Ryan Putoff, whose video's on the channel, he won state championship. So Connor, great program. Had you wrestled Kevin before?
I hadn't. Somehow I had escaped having to wrestle him, and I think he was undefeated that year, going into the finals, 40-0 or something crazy. And somehow we hadn't crossed paths, and so it was a big unknown going into the match. All I knew was that he was strong as a horse. He was just, incredibly skilled wrestler, and coming from a program like Connor where they're just sound fundamentals and just huge, rich tradition of wrestling, I knew it was going to be a tough match.
Oh, man, absolutely. Now, I want to revisit something real quick because it wasn't me. It was some this may have been one of my Facebook trivia questions. I've done so many, I can't remember. But a lot of people were kind of penciling in Chris Dunn to be in the finals. Do you remember anything about like that being the scuttlebutt or?
I know that match was close between those two.
Actually, it was Delk won a 2-0 decision in overtime. It was 7-7 going into overtime, and I guess he got a takedown or something to that effect there. Yeah. So it may have been one of the Woodford County, I don't think it was Chris saying it, but I think one of the Woodford County guys, because that was the year that Woodford reclaimed their team state championship.
Right.
They had Joe on that team. They had Ian. They had Chris. I mean, Valentine. Man, they were loaded.
Chris Dunn was he was a stud. He was a little younger than me, and he was one of these guys that worked out with a lot in summer camps. We wrestled together a lot. Got to be with a lot of those Woodford guys, Ian, Joe Carr. That was just amazing. And that was kind of a bond we had, in wrestling in the Louisville, kind of Lexington area, being able to train together. Tim Lawson, who's, I know you did his video. He had that amazing last second takedown. And so being able to work out with those guys during the summer was just a huge benefit, I think, going into the high school season.
Now, before we watched the match video, you had 3 years at Atherton, being able, like you said, to stay at your older brother's house, walk across.
Yeah.
Now we're at the dungeon in Frankfort. Nobody really knows what to expect. Did you guys kind of get the wink and the nod? Hey, we're going to have the finals one mat under the lights, or was it just a surprise?
Yeah. It was cool. I liked it. It was like WrestleMania kind of environment.
Oh my gosh,
that was cool. But
oh man,
yeah, I'm not one into big drama either, though. So I don't love all the attention, but it was cool. I think that in watching the video, you kind of get a sense of what it was like. It's not the same as being there, but you kind of get that from the video.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we're going to pull it up here. You guys are seeing what we're seeing. We're at the dungeon, Frankfort, Kentucky, the Farnham Dungeon Center, which no longer exists. Now, you are watching, I believe, that is Sean running off off the mat here. So, like I said, don't feel bad for him, everybody. He made him. I think Jason's loss made him better. So I'm excited to get this one going, man. Our first year at the dungeon. Jason, let's do it.
Yeah.
Bring down the volume just a little bit.
From Oldham County, with a 41-0 record in the 12th grade, Jason Talbott.
41-0, man.
I think I was a little surprised the first time I saw Kevin. Like, not at this point. I guess when we went out for the match and I saw his biceps, I was like, "Oh my gosh, how's this guy a 119 pounder?"
Yeah. And of course, here we are. You're in the white and blue singlet.
Yep.
On the left here.
Yeah, these were had new pair of wrestling shoes. I'd given up the ones from prior year. And
he's taking it to you, man. Right out of the gate, he's going.
In retrospect and watching the video and my remembrance of the match, Kevin was as much of a college level wrestler as I remember ever wrestling that year, and just the way he was technically sound, great foot wrestler, great mat rider, and he didn't stop. He didn't give anything up, and that's kind of we can talk about this a little later. But in college, nothing's free. You don't get any easy takedowns, and Kevin was like that. He fought for everything, and he was so strong.
Now, this being in Frankfort, did you have, a lot of family come or?
Pretty close, yeah, I did. It's an easy drive up there, and cousins, family, my coach, coach's wife, their kids. We had a pretty good fan club going.
I was going to say, LaGrange to Frankfort isn't that long of a trip.
Yeah, not bad at all. Just a little over an hour.
So you got a pretty deep whizzer in there, but like you said, man, Kevin's taking it to you. You being there but 2 times before does not appear to have him intimidated.
Not at all. He was fundamentally just really. He wasn't going to make mistakes. I knew that, and he was just going to have clean shots.
Right there, get a pretty good shot in on him.
Yeah.
Work up the body.
I think he didn't finish this one. Got out of bounds.
I was going to say we're a little bit out of bounds there.
Yeah, I should have pulled that in a little bit more, taking advantage of that shot.
As a senior, this is your 3rd time in the finals. Like I said, the first time at the dungeon. And yes, you should get a little bit nervous or excitedly nervous, but was it being under the lights like a new experience? Like, oh my gosh.
It was, and it's a good question. I think the new environment, I felt a lot calmer than I kind of would have expected in that environment, because like I told you in the other video, I was a kind of a nervous wreck a lot of times before matches, and I felt really calm and relaxed, ready to go in this match. Even though I knew it wasn't going to be, I knew it was going to be a tough match and a good chance of not winning, but for some reason just felt really relaxed and at peace in this match.
Yeah. Here you go, man.
Finally got one.
Doing a good job right there, keeping him inbounds this time. You get your takedown.
Yeah.
Right at the buzzer.
Yeah, that was a close call there.
Now, you're a senior, a couple years to develop. What about your bottom game had improved from when we saw you in '94?
Yeah, I think it's not going to be shown real well in this segment here because Kevin rides me out for a while, I believe. But I think I was, stronger, faster. We're still doing a lot of the same fundamental switch, kind of turn, kind of way there. I think looking back at this, I'm like, I should have been shooting right away as soon as we get up attack. So too much pausing here, but at least got the escape.
And so we're neutral.
Yep. Looking for that single again. But he had a really low center of gravity, just really good balance, and it wasn't going to happen with the lazy shot.
I think Coach Bedida and Coach Whalen wasn't at Oldham in 97 or 96, correct?
He was.
Okay, I was going to say, I think they both got the same equipment catalog and ordered you guys the same singlets. That was a common look back then.
Yeah, definitely. It was the 90s style. I had a little hardware malfunction there with the headgear. Luckily, they didn't pause on that. Able to finish. Finish on that one. It wasn't a beautiful match, but I think getting some takedowns against someone like Kevin, it's a match I'm real proud of because just what a tough competitor he was and be able to get some solid takedowns. I tried to look him up. I don't know if you got a chance to talk with him and if he went on to wrestle. He's certainly someone who would have.
I have not. I've got some pretty good friends at Connor, Matt Shotwell, Craig Bertelson, Troy Cole. I'll try to reach out and see if I can locate Kevin.
Holding on with that lizard, just tried to block, defend a little bit here. I know he got a little bit of a lead. Didn't want to do anything dumb to sacrifice it. Thought that might have been close. Yeah.
All right, so you're going in to the third, 5-1.
Lead.
I have to imagine he chose down.
Yep. Yeah, this is where I kind of, again, wish I had developed that tilt move a little earlier in my career because it paid off well in college, but in high school I never used it.
Yeah, that's
all these opportunities here, trying to run the half and just too strong. Couldn't get.
I was gonna say it's like trying to put a half on a fire hydrant. Looks like.
Exactly.
You look over at Coach Whalen, I believe there.
Yeah, that was a kind of enjoy the moment a little bit. Felt like I could ride this out a little longer. This was going to be kind of a dream come true senior year.
Absolutely.
And, kind of took a little moment with Coach to appreciate it. But there was more wrestling to be done. Not to say it was over. I tried to bring him back here. Tried to bring him back straight to the back with some hooks, and that didn't work.
And see, nowadays that would actually be an illegal move.
Is that right?
Yep. They changed a couple years ago that's the snapback.
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody got hurt or people were abusing it or whatever, but that's now illegal. The rule, now we have 3-point takedowns, correct?
No, there's a 3-point.
It changed this year, and 4-point near falls.
Oh wow, that's news to me. Yeah, so I think we're starting to feeling the potential in here, getting close to the finish line. These matches sure feel a lot longer when you're wrestling them than when you watch them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I knew
especially at this level,
once I got in on that ankle, Alex, I was like, just hold on for dear life here because, we're kind of in the same spot. I don't know if you'd call this stalling if you're a ref in this match, but admittedly, a little bit of stalling going on there.
Hey, that's hit him with that like the ref done there. Hit him with the stalemate. Hey, go fellas, let's work. What are we doing? Match ain't over.
We did get one more. Got one more just to kind of cement it there.
And we got
Yeah, this was probably one of the greatest feelings of my high school career right there.
I guarantee it.
Just knowing.
Final score 7-2, and you also most outstanding wrestler.
Yeah.
Excellent performance there in the finals, and you beat out some great wrestlers in the for that most outstanding. Joe Carr won his third state championship. Right. You had Tim Charasika win his third. You had Miguel Merritt win his second. Livingston win his second. I mean, just some absolute. Ian Horn won his first in '96. Just some absolute legends of the sport. And you were the most outstanding wrestler that year, man. Great performance. And Coach Whalen, you guys are going to see this. He actually had a newspaper, or not a newspaper, a magazine clipping. I believe it was from like USA Wrestling or something to that effect. And it's got you listed as an All-American. Let's go over that real quick. Oldham County High School, Buckner, Coach Jerry Whalen. I guess this would be your overall record. 161-14 with 95 falls. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, I never kept track of that real closely, but that sounds about right. Yeah.
Now, this next part, be paying close attention here, fans. A 4.0 GPA. That's we'll talk about that just in a second. 2-time state champion, second AAU. Nationals freestyle, 5th all-state and cross country, and in the National Honor Society. So, man, you had a heck of a high school career, man, in the classroom and on the mats, and I believe on the cross country course as well. So, your high school wrestling career ended there with a most outstanding wrestler performance, 2-time state champion, but your wrestling career didn't end there. Kind of talk to us. Where did you go? Did you get a certain cardinal color? I mean, anything of that nature that you want to let us know about?
Yeah, no, I definitely wanted to wrestle at the next level, and I just got to say back to really kind of you to point out some of those things. None of it's possible without all the mentors we have along the way. Jerry, his brother Tim, my middle school coach Chris Hyde, Chuck Anderson, plus all the teammates, all these guys who, how can you not succeed with all that support and mentorship? So grateful to them, and was lucky to be able to go continue wrestling at the next level. Was initially thinking maybe Division III. Actually live in Davidson, North Carolina now, and looked at Davidson College. It was a small program. Looked at some smaller schools, and then heard from Stanford kind of out of the blue. Chris Horpel was coach out there, and kind of a big name out in California wrestling. Had coached Mike and Dave Schultz, 2 Olympians. Tragic story of Dave Schultz and the whole DuPont story, if you've ever heard of that with the Foxcatcher movie. But he was their coach, and so took that opportunity to go West Coast. I'd never been to California before that, but fell in love. And, got to wrestle with some really amazing guys out there. Zach Zimmer, practice partner, Rudy Ruiz, Frank Ruiz. I won't bore you with a bunch of names, but guys that were just really at another level that I had experienced before, had not experienced before. And I got to share my first, I redshirted freshman year. My first real match, non-redshirt match, was a duel up in Oregon. And I wrestled a guy named Jeremy Enzerud, who was ranked 2nd in the country at the time. It was like, welcome to the majors, Mr. Hobbs. That was like the first time when I tied up, I was a little scared. I was like, this guy could hurt me. And my goal was to not get pinned. I did accomplish that, but it wasn't much better than that. And, it made me better. I wrestled a couple of years at Stanford, great memories, great coaching, great teammates. Met my wife. We had a kid pretty early, not necessarily in that order, but my priorities changed in college, and I had to give up wrestling. And I remember that day, the first time when I wasn't going to practice, and it was kind of bittersweet. It was amazing to have like 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock with nothing. It was kind of free, but it was also a real sadness, kind of a loss of a bit of an identity loss. But I think once a wrestler, always a wrestler, and those traits, they stick with you and they carry over in all aspects of life. And, all those young guys out there watching this who are in middle school now or freshmen, and, just keep working hard. And those lessons you learn on the mat through that experience are going to pay off in all aspects of your life. And certainly that's helped me, in kind of medical career and all that, and challenges that we've had to deal with in life.
Now, just so we're clear, that was Stanford University.
Right.
In the Pac-10.
Yeah.
The Cardinal.
That's correct. Not the Cardinals.
Yeah, exactly. The Cardinal, their mascot is like a pine tree or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a liberal school, kind of going with the abstract mascot out there. There is a tree. You may have heard about the tree. It's kind of a crazy mascot that gets in trouble at football games and things.
Yeah, so that is incredible, man, that you went from, Oldham County to wrestle Division I in the Pac-10 at Stanford. Unbelievable. I don't think people know that, or of course now the series will, but before that, I don't think people realize just like, whoa, this is crazy. And you, you went on, we alluded to it earlier in the video, you are a very educated human being. You are a medical doctor and a PhD, correct?
Correct, yes.
And that's a
Thank you. Yeah, no, I came back from Stanford back to Louisville. So I got my graduate degrees at University of Louisville. And so it was good to come back home for graduate school training. My wife is from California, so she was ready to head back to California after a lot of years of school at Louisville. And so we headed back to California, and now we're in North Carolina and loving it.
Oh man, and that's something about this series is, like you said, you kind of know what everybody's going through, cutting weight and running and not having to eat like you would enjoy, I guess. And you respect people, you learn people, you kind of maybe get to know their family a little bit, know their parents or their situation in life a little bit. Then, especially back in, the 90s, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have, YouTube, TikTok, whatever the kids are doing nowadays. And pretty much, unless you just like knew somebody, you lost contact with them. Yeah. And now the world's a whole lot smaller, things like Zoom, YouTube, whatever the case may be. Yeah. And you can actually be like, man, I remember that. Man, that guy beat me. You know what I mean? Yeah. That guy pinned me. Well, hey, come here. Let's watch this. This guy used to beat Dad all the time. So, man, it's great that what you're able to do there at Oldham County, what you're doing now. I don't even know the words.
Being before the era of social media and stuff was definitely an advantage for me. If I'd known about Kevin Delk and watch clips of his movies on whatever Instagram back in the day, like I'd probably be a lot more intimidated. Like just not knowing was kind of a good thing back then for me, I think. And
of course, this year got to officiate the girls' state tournament there at the horse park in Lexington, and there was a couple of the girls. As soon as they come off the mat, as soon as they shook hands with the coach, whoever was coaching them, they'd hand them the phone and they start watching the match as soon as they finish. And I'm like, man, what a culture. Yeah. You got guys that's never seen their videos to as soon as you raise your hand, you're watching it. Oh man, I should have done this. I should have done that. So Jason, man, we've covered a lot of ground in your two videos. I'd like to give everybody the opportunity. Anything, like to add, say, take away, any shout outs, anything you'd like to add to the video, ma'am? Yeah. The floor is yours.
I really appreciate that, Alex. I just want to give you tons of credit for bringing this together and, kind of reuniting a lot of former wrestlers and letting, guys who, like you mentioned, hadn't even seen their videos before, giving them a chance to kind of relive it and more than that, kind of building a community again of former wrestlers. And I certainly plan on reconnecting with a lot of the guys thanks to you and this tribute you're doing. So really appreciate all the hours. I know it's a lot of work for you and on all you do. And, I alluded to it earlier, but all the mentors who helped guide me along my way in high school and in college, and former teammates, former competitors that I wrestled against, just send lots of love and appreciation.
Man, that's a great way to wrap the video up. So we've been texting back and forth and trying to get hooked up for a while, and I'm glad we finally were.
Absolutely.
Just such a great piece of the Kentucky wrestling history with your story, and I love being able to say that not just on the video, but in life in general, the Kentucky, for the most part, we get, God bless Mississippi. We're usually 49th, 48th in, something, you know what I mean? And with this series now, with this review series, other states are saying, why aren't we doing what Kentucky's doing?
Yeah,
Kentucky's they're way out in front of everybody on this. Why can't we do what they're doing? And to hear, like your video, a MD PhD that wrestled at Stanford. I mean, I don't think it gets more prestigious than that. You know what I'm saying? And all the guys that we've met with, wherever life has taken them, like whether they went to the military, coaching now, however life has taken them, everybody, I'm just so glad that we're able to have this and let the world see there's great wrestling in Kentucky. And just because you're from Kentucky doesn't mean that you can't be successful.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not a sentence to say just because you're born in the Bluegrass State doesn't mean, you can't live a luxurious life. You can't be successful in what you do. You just got to get out there and get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the more
got to get out there and get it done. So
the older I get, the more places I visit, the more I appreciate that and appreciate my upbringing in Kentucky. So,
brother, you're preaching to the choir. Believe me, that's so many people have said that. And I'll say this, then I'll go. Coach Jim Matney, he has a speech that's on YouTube, and they were getting ready to go. The team was getting ready to go out and play a football game in the state playoffs, and I won't go over the whole speech, but at the end of it, he says, anytime anybody in the city retires, you know where they want to come live? They want to come live in the country. Yep. They want to get them a house up a hollow somewhere and live our life. And I'm glad to have them. He ends it by saying, we are who we are. We're boys from the mountains, from the hollows, from the small towns.
Nice.
I couldn't tell you the number of people that we've met with that are from a rural area, a big city, wherever, and they'll say how much they love the state of Kentucky. From the Mississippi River to the mountains, the Ohio River down to the Tennessee border and everywhere in between. I think that this has brought so many people together, like you said, reconnecting with people, letting the world see there's great wrestling in Kentucky. We're more than just bluegrass, bourbon, basketball, and horse racing.
Absolutely.
We've got some great wrestling and some even better stories and even some better people that are finally getting the spotlight they should have got years ago. So, Jason, man, I think that's a great ending point. Thank you all for watching. We will see you guys and girls on the mats.